This time on the Families Matter Most podcast.
Couples fight about 3 things. They fight about money, kids, and sex.
We're not talking about money today. We're not talking about sex today. We're going to get to sex another day because that's a big one. Oh, no. We're talking about fighting over the kids.
Every time Jen Dean speaks, I can see hope, knowledge, expertise, wisdom, and love.
When Jen Dean speaks about parenting, we make sure that we are there to listen because we know we will get valuable advice.
Families Matter Most with Jen Dean.
She doesn't just give skills for us to be better parents, but she teaches us how to reach our children's hearts. And at the end of the day, that's what truly matters.
This time on the podcast, I have a very special guest. Please welcome my producer, and my husband, Sean.
Yeah, I like how I'm a producer first, a husband second. She's using me for my production skills, I think.
Yes, well, not only that, but that's one of the things.
We're not talking about anything nasty today there, Jen.
Let's talk about real parenting stuff that affects marriages. The 3 biggest things couples fight about, according to stats, is kids, money, and sex. Today, Let's talk about kids.
Well, I want to preface by saying, if you are fighting about sex and money, you're probably fighting about the kids too.
True.
Just right off the hop, because I know we're going to get specific about kid stuff, but if we're mad at each other about money and then we're fighting over what we should do with the kid, I guarantee you I'm not getting any.
Yeah, if I'm mad at you about money, we're not having sex, and I'm going to pick a fight about the kids probably
and then
too.
I'm going to be mad and we're not having any nookie. Aren't you glad you joined the podcast today? I'm so glad you brought me on today, Jen.
Oh, Sean, I want you to share with us, to talk with me. The hardest parts of parenting, the biggest issues that we've faced when we were raising 3 kids. And let's set it up into big buckets. So we've got the preschool years, elementary years, high school, and then raising adult kids.
Because now we have adult children. We're almost free.
I'm beginning to suspect we're never free.
Yeah, you're never free. People who have adult children tell us all the time, they come back, which is great,
Let's talk about the preschool years.
Okay.
The pros, the cons, the good, the bad, the ugly. Now, our youngest is 18, but Sean, what do you remember about parenting in the preschool years?
It's funny that when you think about raising kids when they're little, I think more about the other stuff going on in my life that affects how you're talking to the kids because you're young. In our case, weren't making a lot of money.
Right.
I was working crazy hours. And then you'd come home late and you've got to expend that energy with the kids. And I felt like I missed a lot of that stuff. And you felt like, well, you're here now. Just take over.
Help me.
And I'm like, I just need a few minutes to calm down. You're like, I need to talk to a human being because these children are idiots, right? They say things that don't make sense when they're 2 and 3 years old.
And they don't listen to me.
They don't listen, and they make messes everywhere they go, and they poop their pants sometimes still. So
I remember being so tired, just like the deepest physical exhaustion possible where I can't even think straight. And even to this day, if I go, let's say 2 nights with not enough sleep, I start to get depressed. I start to get cranky and negative, and I spiral, and everything is awful in my life. And I think about that and think, wow, I lived like that for years.
I know, but you're young and you have the energy. Do you know what I mean? Like, thank the Lord above that we had the energy to do it when you're young. Because now we're just exhausted all the time as adults. It's like
now we're physically exhausted. I don't know. It was different then.
Hey, the other night it was like 9:30. I'm like, "Do you want to go to bed?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like just sleep bed. She's like, "That'd be great." It was like wonderful. I don't know what's happened to us, Jen.
Yeah, the house was messy back then. There was very little that felt like it was under control.
I think we fought about house stuff when it come to the kids a little bit too. When I'd come home. I'm thinking, I'm just going to say this. I thought, well, you're at home all day with the kids. We made a decision that Jen was going to stay home with the children.
Yeah.
So that means you sacrifice and you don't have as much money, right?
Yeah.
So we did all that. It was fine. We ate well and we lived okay, you know?
We just had to be careful.
Had to be very careful. We had to be tight. Jen, this week we got to be tight.
We got to be tight this week.
I think I said that every single week.
But I think, Sean, you had an expectation that meant that if I was going to be home with 3 kids, the expectation is that I should be looking after everything to do with the house.
The house should be perfectly clean. Just don't stop.
I'm hearing 50s housewife.
Don't stop the podcast. Just hear me
vibes.
out. Because I'm up at like 7 at work, and then I get home at like whatever, 7 o'clock at night sometimes. It was some long days when you're younger. And I'm like, well, what did you do all day? Oh. And I'm saying that because I'm saying that because it really happened. Mm-hmm. I'm admitting it because I didn't understand what Jen was doing. And I think part of the thing that made us fight was not understanding what each other was doing every day.
Yeah.
Whereas instead of, well, you're home now, take the kids, I'm tired, or well, I'm home now, why isn't the house isn't clean, and well, now you expect me to do this? I think if we did a better job of communicating and understanding exactly what each person was doing, and then when you get home together, now it's teamwork together. And it took us a while to figure that out.
Yeah.
But once we did, and we divide and conquer, and we had 3 children, so you can't split yourself so many ways. I think that was a huge cause of our fighting. And then a huge cause of what helped us to get over it was understanding that we're actually on a team. And have you had the conversation about it to say, when you get home, is there an expectation that I have? Is there an expectation that Jen had? They were both wrong, probably, in the beginning. And we have to figure that out and work it out so we can actually be a team. Hey, you do this, I'll do this, and talk about it when you're not exhausted and tired.
Both sides of that require honest communication that is really hard to do.
It's hard, man. And you're stupid. I was a young guy. I didn't know better. I thought, well, that's your job. You decided to make your job as a stay-at-home mom, which means homemaker and all that other stuff in my head growing up and I'm not that, don't send a bunch of texts saying like, Sean, what year were you born? 1946?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that was the decision we made, but we never set clear boundaries of what we were responsible for and how we would come together at the end of every day.
And vice versa. I had an expectation that Sean would come home after work full of energy, ready to roll up his sleeves and pitch in. And if he came home tired, stressed, cranky, I took that personally.
Yeah.
And then it was a fight.
You have no idea what these 3 kids have done to me all day. And you have no idea what they did to my body, too. Stuff like that would happen. Have you ever been there? Are you going through this? Have you had the communication and the talk? Because it really does help if you come at it from a right perspective.
Elementary years. What was that like?
You know what I think of right away? Fighting over disagreeing about, I'm going to just say this one then, too. Can I just be honest?
This is what it is.
All right. I'm like, let's watch Lord of the Rings. They can't watch Lord of the Rings. It's too scary. Are you crazy? It's like an epic movie. That's fantastic.
There's demons and black magic, and it's awful.
It's their boys. It's adventure.
I didn't want them to watch Harry Potter. I didn't want them to watch Star Wars.
So elementary years, we fought about that. We fought about video games, too. What video games should they not or not play? You're probably going through that right now.
Yes, I didn't want them playing Halo. I didn't want them playing violent games.
Well, Halo was just shooting aliens.
I didn't want them playing Call of Duty.
Call of Duty was shooting people, so we agreed on Halo.
Yes. It was a lot of compromise. I felt like on my part. It was a lot of caving in on my part.
I think Jen felt like she lost a lot. But man, there was a lot of things I wanted to win that I'm glad I didn't win.
Really?
Because there were certain things they shouldn't have watched, that I was like, they could totally watch this. You're like, that's a horror movie. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what, Hill? I'm really glad I stood my ground. I talked with a lot of wives who are in tears because their husbands play video games.
What do you mean? I play video games sometimes.
Or watch sports.
I watch sports sometimes.
Well, we had a rule. This was the hill that I died on.
I know where you're going.
We had a rule that there was no media.
Yep.
This was before you could sit and scroll Instagram on your phone.
Cell phones were there.
That wouldn't have been allowed either.
We're not that old.
We wouldn't have been allowed to sit and scroll Facebook.
I just want to tell everyone we're not that old. Okay, we had cell phones when our kids were young.
Back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth.
We would harvest our own meat and vegetables from the forest and the vegetable gardens.
The hill that I died on is I fought for this tooth and nail, man. We had some wicked fights. No screens, no media, no movies, no sports, no video games until after the kids were in bed.
And actually, it was the best decision we ever made. Honestly, it was.
I do not regret it.
No, because I think, I'm not going to speak just for guys. I think girls too. You're working all day. You come home. You know how it is? I'm imagining a girl just wants to take her bra off and throw it on the lamp.
Yep.
Just let those babies hang. Just relax. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how
You're
does
tired. I'm just saying, as a guy, you
As a
come
guy.
home, same thing. You just want to put sweatpants on, put one hand just in the waistband.
and watch Sports Desk?
And just watch sports and forget about my life for a little while.
Yes. But then you got the kids in the background. You're distracted. You're not fully present.
No, and if you're trying to watch something and they just want to watch you and get your attention, then you get irritated by, no, you're bugging me and I just need a moment. So I think it was the greatest decision we ever made. No media until the kids were in bed. And at that time, they'd go to bed at 8:30, 9. And then once our kid got a little older, the oldest one, well, he could watch some stuff with us after if we were
Then
to
you
do
adjust if you're going to play a video game together. And I think that's kind of how it worked in our family.
Yeah.
They ended up playing Zelda together,
Yeah.
which they did it together.
Yeah, we played it together. It was a puzzle and it was fun. And again, it's communication. It's about, it always comes down to that stupid word. But if you're not doing it, you're going to just run in circles and then you're going to cause fights. And then sometimes the fight, you won't even know where it started from or where it originated from.
You're just mad all the time.
Cell phones was another thing, even in elementary. Was it elementary? Does that qualify?
I think so. I think
Because-
nowadays it certainly does.
Nowadays, for sure it is. But I know they wanted the cell phone, and then that was the other problem. I guess this is going into high school a little bit too, age.
We can move into there, sure.
Are we done with elementary? The other thing I was going to say about elementary too is there's all the extracurriculars that you're doing.
Oh.
We did a lot of coaching. I coached all the football and soccer. Jen coached baseball with me. I would recommend doing that. I just felt myself being on the sideline in the lawn chair, just watching, but I could be there actually engaging with my kid and others.
Participating.
Yeah, and there was some other kids there that didn't have some of that stuff. So it was kind of nice to pour into that. However, it's race home after work, throw a granola bar down your throat, grab the gear, get to the stuff.
Yeah.
I just remember that life. And if you're going through that, I just want to say those things will matter down the road. Like my kids tell me now how much they remember that I coached or mom and dad coached us. And they remember that.
Yes.
And they remember how I was. And they weren't my kid, kind of on the field. Yeah, take those moments, especially when you're young and you have the energy to do it. Just go for it.
I would say be really choosy, though, about how many activities you let your kids participate in.
We went a little overboard at one point and realized it was also causing fights.
Can I say something?
No.
I'm going to say something.
Oh, please.
This is something I just learned recently. I think I learned it from Brene Brown, but I thought it made so much sense.
Okay.
She said some families are kid-centered, and the whole family kind of revolves around the kids. And I think sometimes when kids are over involved in activities, it can feel that way. I think there was a time we got into that where it was all about the kids. For me, it was all about the kids.
Yeah.
She said some families are parent-centered, where it's all about the parents, and it can be very selfish. I don't feel
You mean
like it.
a married couple, it's all about them?
Yeah, it's all about me. I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. I don't want to parent this way. I don't want to bother.
So what's the answer, Jen?
She said some families are family centered, and you make the best decision for the family.
That's smart.
And I think there was a time we didn't. Well, I can't speak for Sean. I didn't do that well. There was a time when it was very child-centered, and I felt like Sean came last and I came last and everything was about the kids. And I look back now, and that was actually to the detriment of my kids and our marriage and my family.
Yeah. It's tough, right?
I look back now and I'm so wise.
Well, this is the thing. It's so easy to look back and say anything. I just want to know that if you're in it, like we were in it, and I know what it's like to be in it. And we had 3 kids, so you're outnumbered. That's what they say, right? You have 1 kid. Yeah, it's crazy. It's the first one. 2 kids. I can handle this. 3 kids. The world. For those with 4, 5, 6, 7, God bless you just all the way to the core, because it is a tough job to be a parent. I will say that if your marriage is not doing well, I don't think you're going to parent well.
Yeah.
I think it's harder. Everything is just harder
There's
because
too much hurt and anger and wounds.
I look at it this way. I couldn't do it well without Jen. And I don't think Jen could do it well without me once we got it figured out. Now, for single moms out there, that's where I just say, can you get help from someone? Is there
You need a
good
support
friends?
team.
You need it. Like, it's so hard to do together. Sometimes I would think a single parent might have it easier because you can just do it your way.
Yeah, but then you got to live with the consequences of all those decisions.
And it's a lot of carrying. It's a lot of weight that you have to carry everything yourself. So I just don't want to exclude those that are single parents out there.
Yeah.
I feel for you.
We acknowledge that all of this would be extra challenging. And I think Sean is absolutely right. You need a support team. It's not that something's wrong with you.
No.
You're not capable. It's that you need it. You need help.
And we have friends that were single parents that we were able to help.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's little things can make a big difference. If you know someone, by the way, who's a single parent.
Reach out.
Reach out. Do something nice. Bring a dinner. Come in. As a guy, I'd go and, fix some stuff around her house. You know what I mean? Like just
something.
Or vice versa. Just do what you got to do.
What about high school years? What did we fight about when our kids were in high school?
Well, it's funny because it always comes back to the three things. It's money and sex and kids. I mean, it's just different, but it changes in high school. High school, something different happened. When my kid first got his driver's license, I was nervous. And then once he was able to be free on his own and drive, I don't have to go take him to all the things.
And at first, they're excited. They can run all the errands. They can drive the little siblings around.
I'll go to the grocery store. Go. So in high school, things change a little bit. And sometimes not all for the better.
Yeah.
Because you know this better than me, Jen. When kids are in that upper teenage, they're testing everything. They're pushing you. Mm-hmm. They want their independence. They want to be adults, but they physically can't be. They financially can't be. They emotionally can't be.
Yeah.
And so when one of them goes off and you get mad, then that can equal anger between the couple. Like, how did we get through that?
How did we get through it? It's hard. What I remember about high school is it changes. The way that we parent our kids needs to change. And I think when we forget that and we try to treat them like they're little, it goes really badly. So what I mean is all of a sudden our kids need a mentor, not a teacher.
Yeah.
They don't want to be lectured. And in fact, they just tune us out. It doesn't work. So we almost have to watch them screw up. We have to watch them act immature and then be there so that when they come to us after and want to talk about it, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of watching our kids fail.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to watch. It's hard to keep our mouth shut. It's a lot of biting your tongue. I find that our kids want to be responsible. They want to be treated as mature, respectable adults. I secretly call them man babies.
I didn't say that.
And if they're listening, sorry guys, that's what I call you behind your back.
Mom said that, not Dad. I think you're great.
I call them my man babies because on the one hand, they are still very immature and I have to watch it happen and still cheer them on, which is so hard to not say, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? Why don't you just do what I tell you?
But they're learning, right?
They're learning.
They got to figure it out.
And it's actually really normal. I heard a psychologist say for teens that they want to drive the car. So it would not be wise for us to just give them a car. Here you go, bye.
Yeah.
But what we should be doing is teaching them how to drive the car. They want to do it. So we actually need to have a plan so that they can drive a car one day. When in fact, for us as parents, often we give them too much responsibility and then get mad when it doesn't work. Or we don't give them the keys to the car ever.
Interesting that no matter, remember I said at the beginning, it's like when I come home and we met, we had to have a plan together and you have to talk about that, the communication part. Same thing happens here through all these stages. It just changes a little bit because the fights that we could have about kids is all about indifference and different opinions and me going off on something without checking with you or vice versa. And I think, can I say something else?
Oh, like, okay.
I think what happens a lot of the time is guys take a back seat to some of this stuff in the decision making. And I think a lot of times, a lot of ladies are just making the decisions and then mad when their husband doesn't make decisions or want to be a part of it when they've already made all the choices. And that happened in our relationship and that caused some fights about kids.
I can see how that goes wrong on both sides. On the one hand, I can see guys just abdicating, just backing off.
Fine, whatever.
But on the other hand, I can see how I and other women have set that up. We've actually created our own monster because we've actually told the guys they're so wrong, they don't understand, they haven't read the books, they don't know, so just do what I say.
Yeah.
And then we get mad that they just do what we say. So sometimes it is kind of, we've created this monster.
Yeah, and it can be reversed. I'm not trying to just pick on girls or pick on guys here. I'm just saying whatever the situation you're in, usually one person has that. What's the old joke? One person loves to clean and one person doesn't like to clean, and then they marry each other, and that's kind of how it works. And then you gotta figure that out.
So we got a bossy person and a non-bossy person.
But just remember this. The reason why you're with that person, if you go back to the beginning, is because they have all the things you don't do well. Usually there's an attraction there because there's something about them that's missing with you.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, embrace those things. Talk about those things. For us now, going back to elementary here for a second, I know I'm flopping all over.
Oh, you're wrecking my whole plan.
Oh, shit.
Did you just tell me to shut up?
I was about to say shit. I was like, nope, I'm not going to say shut up. I can't do it on your podcast. I'm going to start my own podcast. I'm going to
turn your mic off.
Shut up, Jen. That's what I'm going to call it.
That would be a funny podcast.
It'd be a fun podcast. But no, when it comes back to the communication, again, of just laying the ground rules when we were fighting about, let's say, cleaning, if I'm really good at it and I like doing it, then I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it because I think you're terrible at it.
Right.
Where she'd say, "Oh, he's cleaning the kitchen. I guess he thinks I'm not good enough to clean the kitchen." I'm like, "I'm just cleaning the kitchen," and we'd fight about that. We would.
We would have some wicked fights about that.
But I would say, "Well, why aren't you cleaning the kitchen? Why am I always cleaning?
Why aren't you cleaning the kitchen my way, the way that I want it done?" To the
because my way is the right
bar
way.
That I want it set at.
You have to admit, my way's pretty good though.
Like, I'm not getting out a toothbrush to clean the elements of the stove.
Sometimes you have to, once a month. No. But what we finally figured out was, let me do these things and do it without stomping and huffing and making a sound, because that causes a fight. And what are the things you're doing? Well, Jen's cooking. How about if you're cooking, I'm cleaning. I'll clean up after you. Mm-hmm. We've been doing that now for years. We never fight about cleaning anymore or cooking.
But we don't have three little people at our feet making us tired and cranky.
Can I just give you hope? It gets easier.
Yes.
It gets easier. The other day we came home and no one was home.
And our house was clean from the day before.
Because no one was there. So it will happen eventually. And then what will happen, I'm just telling you right now, is one of our sons has just moved out and got married. And we had this empty guest room now, his room. And so it's becoming a guest room.
Yeah.
And the other day I was like, where's Jen? I see her just standing in the room. Just kind of sad. So
I was going to say, it is great that we have more time and our house is cleaner, but I miss my kids.
We miss our kids. And so just enjoy every moment you can with them. And if you guys can get on the same page and just talk about the things that are, maybe it's like having a come to Jesus moment with each other, where you're sitting down and you say, is this a good time where we can talk? Like, I'm really frustrated about this. And how do you feel about that? Not like, I'm so frustrated. You know, and have the conversation and start to map out a little bit what you could do to make each other's lives better. Because remember, my job as a husband is to protect my wife and do everything I can for her. That goes even with or without kids. So,
wow. That's really nice.
Well,
I can't make fun of you now.
You can if you want.
One thing I would like to say is everyone trashes high schoolers. Oh, you got a high schooler. Can I just say, I love high schoolers.
Yep.
As much as I call them man babies, their jokes are funny.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to hang out with them. I love the deep conversations, the awesome debates we have about politics and current events. We can go over news things, like the deep discussions, the philosophical debates we have. I love it. I miss it. Teenagers are awesome.
Yeah. Politics, I kind of left that one aside a little bit, but sometimes with some of them. But
with some of them, some of them feel stronger than others. But it's all good. It's all good. I love that our family can have these conversations. And that's something, you know what, teens get a bad rap, high schoolers get a bad rap, but I love having teens.
Thank you very much for having me today, Jen.
Well, that was fun. You told me to shut up.
I did once.
You
looks like I'm not having sex tonight.
Sean, thank you. Thanks for coming on and being honest. Every time you say, can I say this? I'm always like, yes, what is he going to say? Come on.
Well, I can always edit it out later. So if you heard all of those things, that made it made it.
Well, they're staying in. Everything is staying in. Because I think, I hear from clients, So I do private coaching, I do family coaching, and then I have a small group coaching group that's called Strong Family. And one thing that they love is the realness, the authenticity of saying, like, this is really hard and we're in the trenches. We have some good days, we have some hard days, but we're making progress and we're trying to reach the hearts of our kids. And I think what people love about you, Sean, is that you're very real and honest about the good and the bad. And that's what we need.
Well, you asked, we got emails, we got crazy stuff. People fighting about sex. We're going to go there on another podcast, and we're going to call it the sex bucket. So
sounds like a porn topic.
It's not.
But it's not.
It's really not. But hopefully it'll help you out if you're fighting in the arena of sex.
Do me a favor. If you've enjoyed this podcast, would you share it with someone? Share it with family, friends, other married people, other parents. Share it with them, because we'd really like to be able to help as many people as possible. Also, hit reply, reach out, send us a DM, an email, and let us know what you liked about it. And if you have any other questions, what other podcast topics we should cover.
And just to let you know, too, Jen's really good at what she does, and she'll never say it. And so can I say this, Jen?
I don't know.
If you do need help, she's helped some families go through some really crazy stuff. Our family has gone through some pretty crazy stuff. I don't think there's not a lot we haven't seen or heard. And I know Jen is way more than me. If you need some help, just get some help. What's the thing you do? There's a session you do.
Do the thing. Sell it, Sean.
There's a session you do.
The free strategy call. There we go. Then
you just figure out, a little bit about if she can help you or not, and there's no cost to you. And I'm not trying to be a salesperson. I'm just saying that. Anyway.
Just a free short video call.
I'll say it. Let me say it for you. Shut up, Sean. That's it.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to the Families Matter Most podcast with Jen Dean. Book a free strategy call today and get the tools and tips you need to be a more calm and confident parent. For more podcasts, online courses, or just to get more information, visit familiesmattermost.com.